Mother, man.
Hey guys, here's Lorenz from Traitor, and you're listening to Modern Metal Mayhem, best show on web. Stay heavy.
Spreading faster than a case of the clap in a trailer court. Able to shatter eardrums within a 666-mile radius. A podcast more brutal than all the rest. It's Murder Metal Mayhem! This is Pete Altieri from the Murder Metal Mayhem podcast, and I'm doing this interview with Lorenz Kandolf, the bassist of the German thrash band Traitor. I've been jamming the hell out of your music lately. I totally dig it, and I really appreciate you taking the time out to talk with me today.
Thank you very much, Peter. Thank you for having us at Modern Metal Mayhem.
Awesome, man. Well, what's the weather like there in Germany?
Dude, it's fucking hot. It's like super fucking hot. I think you're doing the Fahrenheit thing. You don't fuck with the metric system, as I know, in America. So we have something like today, like 31 degrees. Should be like 75 Fahrenheit or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah, I think that that's about where you are. We're about the same temperature here, actually. But for you guys, you know, you're not used to this, so I know.
Yeah, you're from Illinois, right?
Yes, near Chicago.
Yeah, you're used to sun. Yeah, really used to sun. But especially, I mean, I live in the south of Germany, in Stuttgart, and it's pretty warm also here. But this year, I mean, climate change is here, and it's getting fucking warm, and I live like not in the basement. I'm in the upper floor, so I'm gonna suffer a little bit more. But yeah, you get used to it.
Yeah, that's for sure. All right, well, you guys have a new album out called Exiled to the Surface. It just came out. It's really fantastic. I totally love it. How did you guys end up recording that? Because a lot of bands nowadays are doing it themselves, but did you guys go to an actual studio and do that?
No, we got to a studio. We got to Kohle Keller Studios, which is near Frankfurt. And they did stuff like the new Powerwolf, aborted Eskimo Callboy, or I think they changed the name, but a lot of big names also. And Christian Kohle has also a YouTube channel just for Gear Talk, for music nerd stuff, and it's pretty cool. And this album, we especially recorded that with Kai Stahlenberg. We did an EP with him before, and this was our first full-length production with this guy, and we're super happy with it. He's a nice guy, his studio was great, and he came up with some cool ideas too, so it was a win-win for us.
That's awesome. Yeah, it really sounds great. The production is fantastic, and usually when you're listening to something for the first time, you know, that's a big influence on whether you're going to keep listening to it, and it just sounds great.
Yeah, thank you. So we did that right, especially our producer. But actually, you know, when we recorded it, we wrote the songs middle of that COVID pandemic and something in there between. So we had to replan everything because we couldn't meet each other, and we did gamble a lot of the ideas just with Zoom meetings, and wrote down tabs and notes, and we're sending the demos back and back and front. Now, how you say that? Back through and back or something?
Back and forth.
Back and forth, thank you. You see it, sometimes I'm missing. And so it really developed around that pandemic and with the internet, and we just started recording that stuff like when we were allowed to see each other again, and then we did, of course, our own demos, but they sound nothing like the end product. So that it's a wise thing to go to a good studio. So everybody should do this. You can, of course, record your stuff, like for demos purposes, but the competition is high. So I think it's worth the penny to invest in your music production.
That's a good point, because a lot of bands, you know, their recordings are terrible, and a lot of people just won't listen to it if it's that bad, you know.
Yeah.
Now, what amazed me, I started looking at you guys on YouTube, and I was really surprised. Your drummer Andreas Moser is also your lead singer, which is definitely really rare in metal, but he looks like he handles it well. But how was that getting used to not having that classic frontman that you expect to see in a band?
You know, I joined the band in 2009, and we had a different drummer in, I think, in 2010 or 11, something like that. And his name was Andy too, and Andy was just the front guy and the vocalist. But it wasn't the same, you know. We were just used to that concept with our singer is in the background and he's also drumming. I mean, that's a cool feature that every band has.
No.
So you can stand out a little bit. But I don't know how he does it, because I mean, dude, I think it's hard to just walk and chew a bubblegum at the same time, and he's like that fucking octopus and his singing. And that's amazing.
Drummers amaze me anyway, but then when you throw in vocals at the same time, I mean, and he's doing fills and some complex stuff. He's not just playing, you know, straightforward beats or anything. So he's just killing it back there. Really impressed with that. So that's really cool. It's something you don't see. I mean, the one band that comes to mind is Exciter, the old school band from Canada, but you just don't see that a lot. So I definitely wanted to ask you about that.
Yeah, I mean, in the beginning, like if you way back in the days, Traitor, the Ventor guy, he used to sing that too, or Darkness. Maybe you know that.
Yeah, Ventor sings one song, I think, doesn't he?
He did that in the past, and maybe I know Autopsy. I think Autopsy, the death metal band, they got a singing drummer too, but they are not as much as normal singers as singing drummers. So that's a pretty cool feature.
No,
and I really enjoy that because we got more space on the to run around and fuck shit up. So yeah, that's more
you
fun,
don't have a singer getting in your way or anything.
Yeah. But I mean, it's confusing if you don't know us, and there's some fog and all the stuff you can't see. And like a lot of times we get asked, like, do you don't have a singer, or is it playback, or how do you do? Do you do that?
I could see that.
Nah.
That's
you
funny.
Didn't notice the drummer? It's like that more.
What in my old band, we played with a band that had a drummer singer, and he was real pompous and thought he was all that. And he had real long white hair. He looked like one of those guys in that band Nelson. And he turned his drums sideways and had a fan blowing his hair back while he sang. And we were trying to not laugh at him, you know. And he was pretty decent, but he was just such a jerk. And with the hair blowing and stuff, I was like, really? Come on with this guy, you know? So,
man, yeah. I mean,
bad.
Would be like chilling to have like a van all the time around, but I don't know. That's like a show off. But.
Yeah. He was really a jerk. So it was nothing cool about it. Now, what I like about you guys, Lorenz, is your sense of humor. You know, so many bands are so super serious 100% of the time, but Anthrax would be the ones that come to mind, and Thrash with that, you know, funny edge to them. And now when you guys, I was listening to your album in the car and I was jamming it, and then all of a sudden I heard a song and I was like, okay, this is a little different. But it wasn't until the chorus that I realized what I was listening to, because you guys metal it the hell up, which is awesome. You somehow managed to make Careless Whisper by George Michael an actually pretty cool song.
Thank you.
Yeah, awesome.
We were just like fucking around because on the last album we did a cover song of Blitzkrieg Bob by the Ramones, and you can't do so much with that because it's punk, and we just speed it up like 3 times of the original version in the end, and did a little more freshy. But this time we were like, dude, let's do a cover song, but we make it our own version. Because if you start like, let's cover, I don't know, like Rain in Blood or something like that.
Right. How are you going to make that any better?
First of all, you can't make it any better. And the only thing which you can change is the vocal style, because it's nearly perfect with everything. Maybe you put another note in there or in between or something, but you can't do your own version, and that's like a little boring for my taste at least. Yeah. And so we were fucking around and we're like, dude, George Michael, he's fucking great, and we love like the 80s pop shit and all stuff. And if we're touring, we're always listening to shitty music, but we we love George Michael and Wham and all the stuff. But I hate Last Christmas. Can't listen to the song, and I'm always getting in trouble with Andy when we're like arguing about, no, we can't play that right now. It's like we don't want to listen to that shit. But yeah, the main idea was like to focus on your own version with that song, and I think it's a hate it or love it song. Maybe you got the sense of humor for that, or maybe you say, oh, you can't do that. That's nothing serious in metal and blah, blah, blah.
Right.
But I think if you don't like it, just skip the song. And we did, in my taste, like a very good version of it and did something own with the song. And I mean, if you don't had that lyrics for that, like the song texts, it would be an own Traitor song. And we just like doubled the vocals, so the song is in a whole different key. I think the original is in D. We played it in E, and we transferred like the sexy saxophone solo on guitar, and it's different if you. Yeah, and it's different if you got an air instrument, not a string instrument, you know, like a saxophone or a trumpet or something. It's a whole different game if you play that or trying to imitate that on guitar. And that was the only thing we did with the song, to get that sexy saxophone solo in the end of the solo and just double the vocals with the original, and the rest is like our own style.
Dude, it was just so perfect. And then I had to send you my version of Careless Whisper.
Yeah, you did that.
That I did. We always end every podcast with a karaoke song, and they're all songs like that. The Titanic song, you know, Careless Whisper, you know, the more sappy kind of, you know, 80s, like you said, real corny, top 40 stuff is just my wheelhouse. So I had to send you my version of Careless Whisper. Now, the way I do my karaoke, as you heard, is I do my kind of vocals, which is kind of a thrash death metal thing, with the original music karaoke versions. So it's meant to clash like that, kind of like Richard Cheese does. If you've ever heard his stuff, he's singing it lounge style, and it's just funny how people perceive and how people make things their own. So I really thought that was great, and I'm sure that'll be a thing maybe in the next album. You guys do something like that.
Yeah, maybe, but I think we need something like nobody's gonna like
predict
to cover,
it.
like trying to cover like that, something new, unique with that style. But let's see, we're writing new songs right now. We just released that album, I think, this month, but we still got some other song ideas, and we're gambling around with that stuff. And hopefully you don't have to wait like this long like the last time for the new album. So I'm pretty stoked about to come up with the new stuff. And we already got like, I don't know, 6 ideas which are solid, but need more work with that. And we see that maybe in 2 years, new album with different stuff. But yeah.
That's cool. Well, if you do another cover and you need some help on the vocals, I'm here. I
hit you up, man.
That'd be awesome.
Actually, I listened to your band, Low 12, right?
Yeah.
And I thought it really reminds me of Demolition Hammer.
Yeah, that's cool.
I have that.
Yeah.
I thought really like a Demolition Hammer-esque, if you want so.
Well, what's funny is Demolition Hammer is from the Bronx in New York, and that's where I was born. I just moved out here to Illinois when I was an adult. So I grew up on the East Coast in New York, Connecticut, and so maybe that's where some of that. I definitely dig some of that New York hardcore stuff. So that's cool, very cool. Now, another thing that I like about you guys is that you write about topics that aren't common for thrash bands, like the song 66 Exeter Street, which is cool, and about the show The X-Files. And you have other ones that you've done. But who writes the lyrics and the music for you guys?
The lyrics are based on Andy, on our drummer. He's like that guy behind the lyrics, and he has, like, how can I say, like a special taste for his themes. because he just wants to write about stuff he likes, and he's a little nerd. He loves Star Trek. He loves playing video games.
I was going to say the one song you got about the video game was cool.
Yeah. So we did also a song with Sodrag, which is like a cartoon series for kids, like from 1993, I think. And if you remember that the old cartoons, like Looney Tunes and all the stuff, so they were really brutal. And if you're behind the theme in that cartoon, they're always like super dark, because Sodrag is like a purple dragon master whatnot thing, and he's the collector of nightmares, and they're like little Smurfs in that cartoon, and they're just super happy guys, and he's just mean to them, but in a real brutal way. And if you watch that not with innocent kid's eyes, it's perfect for a metal
messed
track,
up,
you know?
right?
Yeah,
I had to look up what that was, that Zondrak, because I'm like, what is that? And I Googled it, and I'm like, oh, okay, I remember that, you know.
Yeah,
so
and I think we did something about Metroid, the video games,
yes.
like our Knee Deep album, Nukem All is about Duke Nukem. We did that Doom stuff, and yeah, sometimes we get different themes. Like probably if you're going back to Knee Deep into that, with that album, there was that song Pieces of Pale, and that was about the manhunt in Tanzania, which were people killed because they were albinos, and they have like, it's called that they're like magical, and if you eat them, you get like some unnatural superpowers and stuff like that. Okay. And I was like, dude, that's like fucking sick, because it was like 4 or 5 years ago, and I was like, dude, we're not in the Middle Ages, like what the fuck? Right. And there was stuff like that too, but actually you can interpret these lyrics in many different ways. We get a lot of like feedback. What do you mean with that and that? So, but just listen to it, and you can think for yourself what you want to see and hear in that. But Andy does the vocals, and I think he does a pretty good job of that. And to your second question, like how we come up with new music, it's like old school. We're jamming, and most of the time it's like you got some ideas and send them to the other guys, and we're gonna meet in the rehearsing room and just gonna jam that out. And sometimes I write more songs, sometimes Gerd or Matze, so it's just giving and taking, you know?
Yeah, a team effort, which is really cool. Yeah. That's awesome. Now, one of the things that jumped out at me when I was listening to your album, again, I was driving, so I wasn't like looking at stuff, I was just listening. And I come up to the song Total Thrash, and I'm like, you know, of course I'm drawn, you know, whenever I'm listening to a new band, what does this remind me of? And I knew you were from Germany, so I definitely could hear all the German influence, but then all of a sudden that song came on, and I'm like, wait a minute, that sounds a lot like Tom Angelripper. And then when I stopped and I was looking at stuff, I'm like, well, shit, it was him. But how did that come about? Because that's really cool, man.
Dude, Peter, that's like the funny story. We wrote the soundtrack for a documentary called Total Thrash, The Teutonic Story. And it's a documentary about 40 years of German thrash metal, from the beginning in the 80s to now.
I want to see that, because that's my favorite kind of thrash, is the German thrash. So
you can also, I've got I think they got, it's with the licenses on the music, but you also can have this on DVD and Blu-ray, but it's going to be also for streaming available. Yeah. And you got English subtitles, so you can understand.
Oh, very cool.
And yeah, we did the soundtrack for the movie. And they were just like on the whole Germany on their way with a cinema tour with that to present the movie. And yeah, the director just came to me and asked, because we are a lot in the movie, and I worked with the guys a long time together. And so we just recorded that stuff, asked Tom, he was into it and did an amazing job. And I mean, I'm super happy with it, because that's like my wet dreams as a 13, 14 old guy in my little room, like, oh, I want to be like Sodom or something like that, you know? And now you're recording songs with them, and that's like super fucking dope.
That's cool. I did an interview with him years ago through the internet, through email, because we didn't have this stuff back then. but he was really nice, really super cool guy. But yeah, that was just so awesome to see the old guy passing the torch to the younger guys, and just the fact that he did that with you guys, I thought was super cool. And it sounds great. It's a perfect compliment to what you guys are doing in Traitor. I think it's, guys
Thank you, man.
remind me a lot of them. And you know, the documentary that you mentioned, it's funny because was my next question was, how did that all come about? Because you don't see a lot of bands doing documentaries. So is somebody in the band the one that shot that, or were you guys just asked to be part of it from someone else outside the band?
No, we were just asked from the director. His name is Daniel Hoffmann, and actually he's also a writer and has his own magazine, which I'm ghostwriting for too. And I'm employed there as a free writer, ghostwriter for interviews and interviewing bands and doing some portraits and all stuff. So we knew each other from before already. He also does a metal festival called Metal Diver Festival, and it's I don't know the English explanation for that, but it's Münsterland, Sauerland in Germany is like near in the northeast region. And not east-west, it's in NRW, North Rhine-Westphalia, like there in that area. And yeah, he just asked us because he started in 2019, early 2019 with that movie. And we were involved from the first beginning. And more after like 2 or 3 years, and while the pandemic was going on and it was nuts everywhere, he just kept on working with that, and we had always contact, and it just came like 5 seconds before 12 o'clock or something, 5 seconds for lunchtime or something like that. Hey, dude, you're playing a thrash metal band. Do you want to record a song? And we're like, yeah, fuck it, we're going to do that. And that was the whole story for the movie. And we just...
that's cool.
Well, like, we want to write that stuff. We were feeling honored, and we didn't knew that Tom Angelripper was going to sing there too. And so that was like the cherry on that ice cup.
Yeah. That's cool. Fantastic, man. That's super cool.
Yeah, and we also had the opportunity with my other band, Reset. They're from Northern Germany. And I don't know if you saw something like that. They had some supporter packages. Yeah, that's like with Traitor and Reset.
Yeah.
And like a little split vinyl or other one.
Oh, cool.
And we did there also a second song for the movie called Alien Noises by Reset, and Schmier from Destruction does the vocals there too.
Oh, cool. I checked out Reset. I thought they were cool. Definitely a little different with them, but you know, it was good stuff. I definitely liked it, what I heard, so
nice.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we just released a new EP, New World Murder is the name of that, in the end of May this year. So we're keeping us busy here over there. So.
Sounds like it. Now, I'd like to bass geek out just a little bit because, as I said, you know, when we first started talking, I told you I used to play bass. Yeah. I know, obviously, you play bass, so I got to ask you a bass question, and I thought... the first one I wanted to ask you was about your tone. I really liked your tone on this album. It cuts, which is tough to do with two guitars, but you can hear it. It's got a good presence. But what kind of gear, just in basic terms, nothing too crazy, we don't want to lose all those guitar players and drummers out there, but what kind of gear are you using to create that tone, Lorenz?
I keep it pretty simple. I've got a small pedal board, and I've got a down tuner there for different tunings in there. But with Traitor, especially with this album, if we're talking Exiled to the Surface, it's in standard tuning, so it's 440 hertz. So E tuning, if you want so. And to cut through, I use an equalizer, 10 band equalizer is it? I've got that Dark Glass Omega, which is also you get a free band EQ in there too, but you have more distortion and you get a different sound with two different styles in distortion. You can blend them together, which is pretty nice. Yeah. And I just use a normal compressor to compress my playing, because I play with fingers to get that more that not super low, but more like tight attacking sound, you know, like more that clicking
I've
sound.
always played with my fingers too, and I think it makes a big difference. And it depends what kind of style you're doing.
Of
But with you
course.
guys, I could see that finger style playing would make it sound like it sounds.
Yeah, but that's it actually. I don't use anything more, and the rest is like, yeah, in the studios, of course, new strings. Then you have to like to figure out which sound of that kind of sound of that string sound you want to get, and that's like
Right.
super individual. But that's it. I play a Sandberg California bass. It's an active bass, and yeah, rest is like a little bit of studio magic. And we didn't use like a lot of we didn't use any samples, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, we did like normal stuff, you know, like just EQ'd the music
That's
nice,
awesome.
and I think maybe you can hear it better because I try to avoid just doubling the guitar,
Right.
just to click in with the drummer, you know.
No,
And
you can hear that. I liked picking that stuff out when I was listening back to you
yeah,
guys. Yeah, I noticed it. I know we talked about that. Hey, it's nice to finally get noticed as a bass player in a
yeah,
review
yeah.
because I did a review of you guys and I picked that out. So that's cool. Well, awesome. Now, when it comes to bass playing, who was it that got you interested in playing? For me, I'm a little older than you. I was Geezer Butler all the way, and Steve Harris, of course, Iron Maiden. But what about you? What bass players kind of got you interested?
uh, Cliff Burton, of course,
Oh yeah,
Metallica, Cliff Burton, Alex Webster, Cannibal Corpse, and Cheese Butler. Yeah, I think, yeah.
that's
Because
cool.
that finger style, and I'm my dad used to be like an old school hippie, and he introduced me to that kind of music. But I grew up with something like The Doors, Hendrix, Clash, stuff like that, and you got like more that in the psychedelic rock and roll and more jazzy stuff and all stuff. You get more lead bass.
Right.
You not just doing that rhythm. If you just think about Deep Purple, always crazy bass lines in the Doors, always crazy bass lines, and I really like that sound and that style of playing. To not only to get like your kick in the stomach with the low ends and all stuff. That's all great, but you have to like to get the rhythm tight with that stuff and throw in some harmonies, so you get it more interesting. It has to be like suitable for the song, of course, but I think
Right.
especially these three bassists, they do a perfect job. And especially if you think of Alex Webster, the bass tone is always noticeable in all the mixes, and he
Yes.
has a great finger style, and yeah, that influenced me a lot. And
Yeah,
I
that's
think Cliff
that's why I
Burton is like
picked
that.
that's why I
That's
picked the Alex Webster model of the Spectre bass that I play because I love his tone and it's wicked. It doesn't.
yeah.
I didn't get the one with the blood drip on it because you could get it with it or without it. But yeah, the bass sounds unbelievably good. And just to tell you a quick story about Cliff Burton, because this is going to get you upset, because
Yeah.
all my younger bands I interview, I tell the story, but you especially are going to love this one. But when I was in high school, Ride the Lightning came out, Metallica, and I was just like freaking out. I was like, holy
Yeah.
shit, these guys are amazing. And I went to see them, Wasp, and Armored Saint. This was like 1984. And at the time, Wasp was pretty big. So them and
Yeah.
Metallica were alternating who headlined each night. Well, I happened to see a night that Metallica headlined. It was a blizzard. The weather was really bad. There was 200 people in a venue that would hold about 1,000. So it was a pretty good
Okay.
size, but
Yeah.
they were just up and coming at the time. So I
Yeah.
literally had my hands on the stage directly in front of Cliff Burton and got to see Anesthesia and all that
Stitch.
stuff right there in front
Yeah.
of me.
Yeah.
The next time they toured for Master of Puppets, they were in a stadium, so they had gotten a lot bigger. And I saw him once then, and then it was a few months later when he died in the
Yeah.
accident. So I got to see him twice, but that one time with 200 people at this small venue, on Ride the Lightning just absolutely blew my mind. I just never saw a metal bass player play a bass like that. That was really
You're a
awesome.
lucky man, sir. It's like
Well,
you could.
I know. I had to tell you that, though. I know that's going to be like, oh, man, really? Had to rub it in.
Yeah.
But, us old guys have to occasionally do that, okay?
Of course.
Because you're going to do,
I mean, that's
you're
like
going to
a
do that
super nice,
someday.
story about it. Like, I mean, I saw Wasp, of course, live. I saw Armored Saint live. I did, of course, Metallica shows. But I mean, if you got like that little, I mean, 1,000 people are a lot of people at a show, and at least 200 are a lot of people. But if you got that small club shows and like a one and rising, like a new and rising band, and it's fucking Metallica back in the day, right? It's like super fucking cool, man.
Totally. Now, I always ask this question from bands because I have learned about so many great bands this way. What bands are you listening to that our listeners might not know about, whether it's a local band or some band in another country that you heard? I always love this because I've gotten some great stuff from this.
There's a German death thrash metal band called Hellgrifter, and they just released a new album, or their first real album. I think Lords of Damnation, and I had an interview with them for the Metal Striker magazine, and they did a great album, Helldrifter, and I think it's Lord of Damnation was the name. Also, what's pretty sick, it's female-fronted, I would say, progressive technical death metal band called Viocracy, and they've got a new album out, but what's the name? Maybe Ecophagia or something like that was the name. But I remember one song, it's called Uproot, and that's like super fucking brutal. But that's like for really educated metalheads, like you really have to listen to that because it's super complex. It's more like for that technical stuff like Nile and all stuff. But I'm pretty impressed with the musicianship on that album. That's pretty cool. What did I hear last time? I had a little bit of metal stuff in the last time. Like I listened to a lot to Crash Karma, but that's like more rock and rollish. The new Manta, maybe you heard about Manta.
Yeah.
That new album is pretty cool. Of course, new Waste album is pretty sick, but maybe bands you not know. Yesterday I played a festival called Schlichtenfest, and Got the Front were there. I should listen again to Got the Front, but they're also the new Decapitated were headlining, and they did a killer show, and their new stuff is also killer. So I'm definitely gonna check that album and listen carefully for that.
That's cool. I got a couple of good ones for you. I've been listening. I've been listening to some killer bands from Australia. And two bands, both from Melbourne. One is called In Malice's Wake, 3 words, In Malice's Wake.
In Malice's Wake.
Death thrash, really killer. The lead singer and guitarist, he's also their artist, so he paints the covers. Okay. He paints the covers, and they're unbelievably cool. And then another band from Australia called Battlegrave, all one word. I
know Battlegrave, I know them.
Yeah, they just came out with a new one. I just reviewed that one, and it's wicked.
Nice.
Really good stuff. So, very cool. Well, the tape trading days are over, but we can share bands like this. So, I wanted to share a couple with you.
Just check that on Spotify. I'm going to follow them.
Yeah, definitely. Now, any touring plans coming up, Lorenz? Anything that you guys have been trying to plan?
Yes. Yesterday we just did an open air show at Schlichtenfest. I think next week, actually, I'm going to be in Portugal, but with a different band, with Hate Squad, playing a couple of shows over there. And we're going to be headlining Burgbrand Open Air, which is in Eastern Germany, a really nice, super nice location is a old castle, which you are playing in the castle, and it's like a ruin,
cool.
and it's super fucking metal. And I'm really looking forward to this show. We're planning to tour with Sodom in the end of the year, and there's everything like with the schedules. We have to figure everything out, and we still got problems with COVID, and you don't know which venue is going to be available and all stuff. And what's next? Coast Rock Festival in September, which is going to be killer. It's in northern Germany. We're going to be in Stuttgart. We're going to be in the south, playing with Tractors from India, doing a lot of. We're not going to be on tour like for the next 4 or 5 weeks in a row, but we still got some shows.
Big shows going on.
Yeah, some big shows coming on, and hopefully. We're gonna do more and more frequently next year, because you still got like that backslash from the Corona pandemic, because every venue is booked or overbooked, and they still got the old contracts. So you have to ask at least the guys you still got that gig opportunity from 2020. So you're gonna play that in 23 or this year or something. So it's a little bit of hassle to get that all done, but we are pretty positive and looking forward for next year.
Awesome.
And we're still going to play like 10 or 15 shows this year, so that's going to be cool.
Yeah, very cool. All right, now here's one of these questions that you just can't prepare for this, Lorenz, so I'm going to throw this one at you. If you had to pick just one person to die painfully in a Traitor mosh pit, who would it be? Justin Bieber, David Draymond, or Fred Durst? To get trampled in a Traitor mosh pit. Which of those three? Justin Bieber, David Draymond, or Fred Durst?
Dude, I don't know. I mean, it's like, I don't want to hate against Justin Bieber, but of course I will pick him because I don't like his music, but I appreciate his I don't know. There's listen to it if you like it, but fucking kill him.
That's awesome.
So let's do it. Let's kill Justin.
Right.
I mean, he's sick. I think he's also sick. He's got
something going on. I know it's not a very nice question, but I asked the guys in schizophrenia that. Those guys are wicked, by the way. And one of them,
they're gonna be with us at Coast Rock Open Air.
Oh, killer!
They're gonna support us there. We're gonna headline this show, and I think they're the co-headliners.
Awesome! So I interviewed 3 of those guys, and one of them said, "Do I have to just pick one?" And so that's always funny when I get the responses back from the band. So, but yeah, not a very nice question. All right,
where take it ironically?
Where can our listeners buy some merch from you guys? You got a Bandcamp, right?
We got Bandcamp, but just head over to our website. It's www.traitor-band.de, and you find everything there. And you also can buy via Amazon or any record store if you know in your hometown or something like that. We got all the physical copies. But if you want to really support us, just go to our website, traitor-band.de, and you'll find a lot of different stuff, t-shirts,
very
vinyl,
cool. And I'll link to all that in the episode description. So when you're listening or watching this, go to the episode description and I'll link to that stuff so you guys can support these guys and buy some merch. Anything you'd like to add, Lorenz? It's been a fun conversation with you.
Thank you very much for having us. Thank you for playing our music. We really appreciate that. And what can I say? Kill all the fucking poses and stay fucking metal, dudes, and be nice to each other and stay hydrated. That's important nowadays.
Hell yeah. Well, very cool. I'm going to play the song in its entirety, Total Thrash, so our listeners can hear what we're talking about here and check you guys out. So as we sign off, thanks again, Lorenz, for doing this. It's a lot of fun here, Murder Metal Mayhem, and we hope you come back sometime soon if you guys have something new going on. I'd love to have you back on. So anytime, you're more than welcome. And thank you for doing this.
Thank you, Peter. Thank you.
Mother. Man.